Service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.
Yeah, that's not cool.
So I was wondering what the one was. I saw like the notice, but I didn't know which painting had been painted over.
Yeah.
Go whenever you're ready.
Thank you for tuning in to the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. Our broadcasts are available live on YouTube from Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., and on demand via the Audio Reader Network at www.reader.ku.edu. Access options include Amazon Alexa, mobile app, and radio via KSMU radio at 91.1 FM, 67 kilohertz subcarrier from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. weekdays. Contact the Audio Reader Network for radio receivers. Homicide victim was chronically homeless. He was also a beloved regular at Downtown Coffee Shop. Anthony Chambers stopped by Mudhouse Coffee Shop in downtown Springfield almost every day. The manager called Chambers a sweet man who was always polite and gracious. Coffee shop employees are planning a candlelight vigil for Chambers this week by Jackie Raywald. This is at the Springfield Daily Citizen. Mudhouse Coffee Shop is located at 323 South Avenue. Anthony Chambers, a regular at the coffee shop, was fatally shot on February 27, 2026, just a few feet away from the coffee shop's front door. Store manager Lisa Ferentz, at the counter, said Chambers was a kind man who had mental health struggles. She is pictured at the Mudhouse Coffee Shop. There is a large wooden counter with places to order. She is standing at the counter getting ready to serve some customers with another employee behind her. Up top is an order here sign, and then more towards the right is a pickup here sign. Towards the left is a display with several pastries, including donuts, croissants, and muffins. Anthony Chambers was a familiar, friendly face at the Mudhouse Coffee Shop in downtown Springfield. The unsheltered man from North Carolina came into the shop almost every day, employees say. Sometimes he would ask for hot water to brew his own tea. If he had cash, Chambers might buy a pastry. Oftentimes, customers would offer to pick up his tab. He liked to sit at the bar or find a table where he could spread out his drawings and journals, recalled store manager Lisa Ferentz. He was a very creative soul, Ferentz said. It was clear that he was constantly creating. He was a very sweet man, she added. He was incredibly gracious and always polite and kind to my employees. Ferentz spoke with the Daily Citizen on Monday, days after the 48-year-old Chambers had been fatally shot just feet away from the Mudhouse entrance. Mudhouse employees are planning to hold a candlelight vigil for Chambers at 8:30 p.m. Thursday, March 5th, in front of the coffee shop at 323 South Avenue. Spread the word and come pay your respects if you are able, a Mudhouse employee wrote on a social media post announcing the vigil. No one deserves to die this way. Let us come together as a community to show him he was valued as a community member, as a human being. The shooting happened just after 8 p.m. Friday, February 27th near South Avenue and Walnut Street. Pictured is the front entrance to the Mudhouse Cafe on the downtown sidewalk. There is a signage on the door for the Mudhouse Coffee Shop. 323 is above the door, and there are two patrons coming in and out of the door. And there is a brown awning with the word Mud House, your downtown coffee house up top, and seating outside, one small square table with 2 chairs. Underneath, it says, Caden Burks, 22, is charged with a Class A felony of second-degree murder, 2 counts of armed criminal action, and the Class E felony of unlawful use of a weapon in Chambers' death. It was really, really sad, Ferentz said, adding that she was on the 2nd floor of the building when the shots rang out. At first, she feared someone had been shot inside the coffee shop. She now knows that the shooter was standing right in front of the coffee shop, and Chambers was just a few feet to the south in front of Great Southern Bank. Chambers, a known entity at Mud House. Chambers is from North Carolina but had been unsheltered in Springfield for some time. Ferentz said Chambers has been a known entity at the coffee shop for a long time. With the unhoused population, obviously a lot of times we're dealing with mental illness, and he was definitely in that category, she said. But we treat all people the same here at Mud House, so we spoke to him just as we would speak to any other customer or person visiting the building. Following the shooting, Ferentz saw a social media post made by Chambers' brother, who still lives in North Carolina. Asked if she wanted to say anything to Chambers' family, Ferentz said yes. We did our best to be kind to him and to provide him with what we can, she said. We are a business, so we can't give away things constantly, but we definitely gave of ourselves to him. We are so, so very sorry that this happened, and I wish that they had reconnected while he was still with us. Pictured is another view of the coffee shop from the entranceway. There is a large wooden table with some plants and some shelving inside the wooden, I don't know what the word is. I almost want to say credenza, but that's not what it is. It's a counter. There we go, counter. There's some shelves built in with 2 pots of long flowing pothos-style plants. Ferentz is at the entrance wearing glasses and a blue t-shirt. There are employees preparing meals and drinks behind her, 3 employees, and there's the long view of the coffee shop with a brick wall, and there are several patrons sitting at the tables that along that wall and the art that is on the wall. Long hanging lights and stringed lights from the top, and then on the left is the large ordering screens. Let's see. He mattered. We all matter. And he certainly had a kindness about him, she said. He was clearly a person who needed help and support, and it's unfortunate that we can't give that to everybody. Ferentz went on to encourage the community to keep in mind when interacting with the unsheltered community that these people are human beings, and they matter, and they have families. I think too often we just see them as a thing that is part of our city, and that is not at all the case, she said. Just remember that these are people who are suffering from an illness of some kind, and the best thing that we can all do is be kind. Imari Stout, who worked downtown at High Tide Theatrical, got to know Chambers. She described him as an intelligent man who was also a talented artist and regularly shared and sold his artwork. Stout said Chambers kept to himself and his mental health struggles could impact how he was perceived, but he was a kind person. Our community knew him, Stout said. He was visible, and despite that visibility, he was left to navigate his illness largely alone. In many ways, our systems failed him. He should still be here. Suspect admits to pulling trigger, can't explain why. According to the probable cause statement, several people witnessed the shooting. One witness saw Burks hide the gun, so a witness pretended to be armed and detained Burks until officers arrived. Burks allegedly told police it was his gun and admitted to shooting Chambers. The officer who interviewed Burks wrote that Burks provided extensive details about the incident but couldn't explain why he had pulled out his gun and pointed it at Chambers. According to the statement, Burks told the officer Chambers had not threatened him in any way. Pictured is a young gentleman with longer hair and a mustache and a blue t-shirt in a bookings photo. They had walked past each other on the sidewalk a short time before and made eye contact, the officer wrote. Burks said he had a bad feeling, but there was no other interaction between them. The suspected shooter allegedly described a brief conversation between him and Chambers, but they did not argue or threaten each other, according to the statement. Burks could not explain to me why he had done this other than his feelings that Chambers was going to do something to him, the officer wrote. There had been no outward indication by Chambers of any threat of violence or aggression. Those charging documents were not yet publicly available when Ferentz, the manager of the coffee shop, spoke to the Daily Citizen on Monday, March 2nd. At that time, little was known about what led up to the shooting. Both suspect and victim were large men. For my own sanity and emotional state, I wish that I knew it wasn't random, Ferentz said, but who knows? Ferentz described Chambers as a very large man. Not just tall, but also, he was a large man, she said, adding that Chambers would sometimes get loud due to his mental health struggles. Because of his stature, I'm sure that people perceived him as aggressive, although he was not, Ferentz said of Chambers. According to the jail website, Burks is 6'3" and weighs 225 pounds. The Daily Citizen managing editor, Harrison Keegan, contributed to this report. This is by Jackie Rewald. She is a reporter at the Springfield Daily Citizen. She covers public safety, the courts, homelessness, domestic violence, and other social issues. Her office line is 417-837-3659.
This is from the Springfield Business Journal. New building owner paints over iconic downtown mural. There's a picture of the mural downtown that is a painting of Park Central Square, and it's half painted over with gray primer. It says a mural honoring an internationally prominent Springfield artist, the late Robert E. Smith, was suddenly painted over this weekend by From Military to Millionaire, a company linked to the new owner of the 400 West Walnut Street building. Article is by Karen Crago, reporter for the Springfield Business Journal. This weekend, a long-standing mural honoring a nationally prominent Springfield artist was suddenly painted over, raising alarm among members of the arts community and a social media response that surprised the building's new owner. The mural, located on the Campbell Avenue side of Lumi Candle Bar at the southwest corner of Campbell and Walnut Street, was a community tribute to Robert E. Smith by artists Ben Bunch and Ryan Thayer, based on a painting by Smith. Smith was characterized as a folk or outsider artist whose work featured lively, colorful, childlike scenes, and the mural that was covered over depicted numerous urban vignettes, including local businesses and activity on Park Central Square and elsewhere in the city. The Greene County assessor lists the owner of the building as Fubar HQ LLC. Reached by phone this morning, David Peer, who is CEO of financial advising company FMTM LLC, said he purchased the building at 400 West Walnut Street in October 2025 and paid $500,000 for it. His company will be going into the space now occupied by Lumi, he said, adding Lumi's lease runs through the end of April. Reached today, Peer said he would not have anticipated the public response that painting the building has received. I understand now that that mural was important to a lot of people, he said. However, leading up to the painting, Peer said he tried to perform due diligence as the property owner. I asked a whole bunch of people about it and got deadpan looks, he said. I brought it up to the city and they said, it's your building, you can do whatever you want. It didn't seem to be a colossal deal. The mural was painted over initially in gray primer in preparation for a black background that is already partially completed. Pierce said he has commissioned a muralist from Austin, Texas, to come to Springfield and make a new mural on the wall with a bald eagle as its centerpiece. The whole building is going to be turned into a very patriotic mural for us, he said. We've had this vision for a long time. It's going to be incredibly well done. Pierce said he is contracted with the artist for $50,000, a discounted rate from an artist who does high-end work nationally. Pierre, who is traveling home to Springfield from an event in Tennessee, said he did not have the artist's name readily at hand. The new mural is expected to be completed by the end of March, he said. Pierre's business, FMTM, stands for From Military to Millionaire, helps service members achieve financial freedom, and the artwork envisioned will honor veterans as they visit Springfield for his company's services. From Military to Millionaire does business all over the country, Pierre said, but with the new headquarters, he will be able to bring veterans into the Queen City to learn about house flipping, maximizing benefits, wholesaling, business in general, and even personal finance and budgeting. We thought, what if we had our own space where we could host 40 to 60 veterans, Pierce said. They'll be staying in hotels and using downtown restaurants. I'd much rather pour into Springfield long-term and invest here rather than pump up other economies. The doors of the company will also be open for business networking events, hangouts, and entrepreneurial efforts currently hosted in other places, Pierce said, adding that he aims to provide a safe space to offer financial help to service members and veterans. We're going to start getting involved in the chamber, and we're at a point now where we can give back, and we want to, he said. Pierce said he has received some emails and seen some online posts that he characterized as nasty, and that has been unfortunate since his intentions have been positive. He added that the mural honoring Smith was not in good shape. It was kind of falling apart. Admittedly, it's not my style for what I would have chosen as art, but I don't dislike the art or the artist, he said. There was no disrespect meant at all. Pierce added that he asked Springfield city officials in planning and development what he needed to know about repainting a mural, and he was told that structural changes would require a permit. But there were no code-related issues with paint, so he didn't have anything to worry about. Springfield Business Journal was not immediately successful in reaching city officials this morning for verification. Pierce said the new mural promises to be a beautiful piece of art that is very well done. We're definitely not trying to cause a ruckus, or we are trying to cause a ruckus, but it's a ruckus that attracts service members and veterans that want to make a difference in their lives and find their purpose again, he said. We're investing long-term in Springfield, and we want to plant a flag for what we believe in. Protections needed. Meg Wagler, muralist and director of mural-focused nonprofit Overlay Incorporated, said she found out about the loss of the Smith tribute mural online in real time. It wasn't announced. There were no public statements, she said. Of course, my initial response is just disappointment at a core level. This piece was a staple in the community, regardless of whether or not it was liked or revered by all people equally. That's the beauty of public art. If you don't like a piece, move past it. If you do like it, have brunch nearby, take photos. Wagler said diversity of styles is important, and the mural that was covered was an homage to an internationally acclaimed artist that was painted by community members. It's a disappointment as an artist that a building owner acts with such disregard about that artwork, but also as a community member to say that was part of our visual textural fabric of what we have attached identity to, she said. As a leader of an arts organization, Wagler said what this means to her is that there should be some structural guardrails and processes in place to protect artwork. Overlay continues to have conversations about that from a policy perspective, she said. She added that her organization is available to answer questions if any property owner or prospective buyer wants to ask about best practices for working with existing or planned murals. Overlay puts on a festival centered on painting large public murals, first held in 2022 as Mid-X Midwest, to be held again in 2025 as Overlay. The issue came to light through photographs posted online by Jesse Tyler, a partner with Springfield lifestyle brand SGFCO LLC. Tyler, who identifies as a hardcore downtowner, said he was dismayed by what he was seeing as the mural being covered. I knew it was a big deal. I didn't quite know how much it would explode, he said. Tyler called the destruction of the mural egregious. There was no reason for it to happen to one of the most important and beloved pieces of public art downtown, he said. The absurdity of this is clear. Everyone knows this is wrong the moment you see it. But he said some good may have come out of the incident. There's an incredible amount of energy being shown around this, and I'm thinking a lot about how that gets channeled. He said, if we don't want to see things covered or deteriorating, they must be maintained, not just physically, but with the maintenance of reminding people that they matter to us.
Continuing on with the Chambers shooting, police say suspect in fatal shooting Friday night admitted to pulling trigger, couldn't explain why. The suspect, 22-year-old Caden Burks, allegedly told police that he had a bad feeling about the victim, Anthony Chambers, but Chambers did not threaten or act aggressively towards Burks. By Jackie Raywald. Pictured is a Springfield police vehicle. File photo of a Springfield Police Department vehicle. Charging document shed some light on what police believe transpired in the moments before a fatal shooting in downtown Springfield Friday night. Caden Burks, 22, is charged with the Class A felony of second-degree murder, 2 counts of armed criminal action, and the Class E felony of unlawful use of a weapon. The victim, 48-year-old Anthony Chambers, was transported to the hospital where he died from multiple gunshot wounds. Chambers is from North Carolina but had been unsheltered in Springfield for some time. The shooting happened just after 8 p.m. Friday, February 27th, near South Avenue and Walnut Street. According to the probable cause statement, multiple calls were placed to 911 concerning gunshots, and numerous individuals were in the area and witnessed Chambers being shot. Police found Chambers in front of the east side of Great Southern Bank. Witness pretended to also have gun, detained suspect. According to the probable cause statement, a witness followed the suspect and then confronted and detained Burks near the southeast corner of 430 East Walnut Street. According to the KOLR 10 report, the witness was Sam Corsellini. Corsellini told KOLR 10 he saw two small groups of people approaching one another on the corner shortly before the shots were fired. Seemingly unprovoked, out of nowhere, one man stepped back, drew a firearm, and immediately started firing, Corsellini had said. Corsellini said he watched Burks drop the gun, so he played my best poker hand. Corsellini told Color 10 he gave the man verbal commands and pretended to have a weapon by placing his hand on his hip, holding the suspect there until officers arrived several minutes later. Honestly, it came down to instinct, he told Color 10. I was in the Army for a long time, and it was pure adrenaline. Police. Burks admitted to shooting, couldn't explain why. According to the probable cause statement, officers then arrived and detained Burks, who allegedly then told the officer that the gun and the red hoodie he'd been wearing were behind a nearby dumpster. Burks allegedly admitted to owning the gun, the hoodie, and to shooting Chambers. The officer wrote that Burks provided extensive details about the incident, but couldn't explain why he had pulled out his gun and pointed it at Chambers. According to the statement, Burks allegedly told the officer Chambers had not threatened him in any way. They had walked past each other on the sidewalk a short time before and made eye contact, the officer wrote. Burks said he had a bad feeling, but there was no other interaction between them. Burks allegedly described a brief conversation between him and Chambers, but they did not argue or threaten each other, according to the statement. Burks allegedly told Chambers not to walk towards him and that Burks drew his handgun and pointed it at Chambers. Suspect: Chambers wasn't threatening or aggressive. Burks could not explain to me why he had done this other than his feelings that Chambers was going to do something to him, the officer wrote. There had been no outward indication by Chambers of any threat of violence or aggression. According to the statement, Burks told the officer that he lowered his gun but didn't put it away, and at that point, three men who had been with Burks earlier began to jog toward them. Burks told the officer that Chambers lit a cigarette as he stood there and briefly glanced over as the three men approached him. Burks told the officer that Chambers then put his right hand into his pocket. When Chambers removed his hand from his pocket, Burks allegedly told the officer that he shot Chambers multiple times. Burks is being held in the Greene County Jail without bond. He does not yet have an attorney.
This is from the Springfield News-Leader. Springfield apartment fire hospitalizes 3, displaces 30 residents. Written by Marta Mias, Springfield News-Leader. A large apartment fire Sunday, March 1st, injured 3 residents and displaced 30 occupants. Springfield Fire Department responded to a fire at the Pebble Creek Apartments complex in the 2800 block of South Fort Avenue about 10:30 p.m. Sunday. According to an SFD news release, the south portion of Building 1200 was heavily involved in the fire. Nearly 40 firefighters were unseen, though none were injured during the response. 3 apartment occupants were taken to area hospitals for treatment. The fire damaged the building that contained 24 apartments. Roughly 30 occupants were displaced and are being assisted by the property management company and the Red Cross, according to the release. Pebble Creek Apartments is managed by the Wooten Company. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. Marta Mias covers local government at the News-Leader. Have feedback, tips, or story ideas? Contact her at mmieze@newsleader.com.
Springfield Daily Citizen, Brian Fogel. Lost and Found helps us learn to express big grief feelings. Founded 25 years ago, the Lost and Found Grief Center provides help, hope, and healing for people dealing with the loss of a loved one, by Brian Fogel. It was 1999, and a mutual friend suggested that I have lunch with Sean Askinosie. I had met him several times, and our daughters had even played together through another mutual connection, and so we sat outside at a restaurant that no longer exists and talked. I primarily knew Sean through his work as a very high-profile defense attorney, but as he spoke, I knew he had something else on his mind and heart. He shared his story about losing his father when he was barely a teenager, and the impact that it had on him as he tried to reconcile such a tragic loss at that impressionable age. School and parents provide so much education and guidance in our wonder years, but very few teach us about death and grief. Sean Askinosie was led to Lost and Found Grief Center by his experience at age 14 of losing his father, Springfield attorney Larry Askinosie, to cancer. Pictured is Sean. He is a clean-cut man with white gentleman with thinning white hair and a white beard, and he is wearing a denim button-down shirt. He has a kind smile and piercing eyes. I remember talking with him about the Bob Buford book I just read called Halftime, which suggests that at a certain point in our lives, after building families and careers, we wonder while climbing that ladder of success, is it even on the right wall? Buford's observation of his own life and career in his 40s was the need to move from success to significance. Sean embraced that notion and started both a bean-to-bar chocolate factory and also launched Lost and Found Grief Center in 2000 with the help of Dr. Karen Scott. They celebrated their 25th year just last year and have had a deep impact on individuals who, like Sean, were impacted by the loss of a loved one. Lost and Found Grief Center marks 25 years of healing in Springfield. Pictured is one of the counselors, and it's a children's room with a low shelving system with baskets of toys on the top and in the shelves. It's blue with a rainbow on the wall and a small table for children and some sensory mats in the middle in the shape of a hopscotch. Hanging from the ceiling are little fluffy clouds, several of those, so that it looks like you're out in the sky. The organization reflects on 25 years of grief support while addressing the ongoing need for awareness and expanded services in Springfield by Mike O'Brien. Lost and Found provided help, hope, and healing to 741 individuals in 2025 through nearly 600 hours of no-cost therapeutic grief group time. In addition, there were 543 individual grief counseling sessions, and 220 community members received grief education and training assistance. Children, parents report learning to navigate their grief. The impact of their work is profound on those obtaining their help. After receiving professional therapeutic grief support at their center, 81% of kids knew how to express big grief feelings. 86% of teenagers reported they found a way to carry their grief and move forward in life, and 94% of parents expressed they were now better equipped to navigate their grief. The cost of inaction is substantial. 1 in 4 youth 18 and under who die by suicide are bereaved, according to Judy's House Childhood Bereavement Estimation Model. The same source cited bereaved youth are 175% more likely to develop substance abuse disorders in adulthood. Even the economic impact is significant. Forbes magazine stated that 1 in 9 employees are impacted by death and estimates grief-related losses cost companies approximately $75 billion each year. The important work done by Lost and Found is carried out by CEO Mark Miller and a staff of 12 others and numerous volunteers. Mark himself experienced tragic loss and knows all that goes with dealing with grief in a family. Pictured are several little ones in a circle coloring on clipboards with an array of colored pencils and markers and crayons in different cups, separating them, and multicolored sitting pillows behind them. The community has recognized the value and has been supportive of their work over the past quarter century. Like so many nonprofits, they rely on the generosity of others. According to their 990 financial report listed on their website, nearly 50% of their budget came from donations and contributions, and another 34% was from fundraising events. Only 16% came from government grants. Their financial stewardship has allowed them to offer their services to individuals and families regardless of the financial situation. Financial barriers are not and should not be an issue for those dealing with grief and loss. We have all experienced loss. Winnie the Pooh said, how lucky I am to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard. For most of us, losing a loved one is one of the hardest things we face in life. Adding to that is the fact that most of us never received the training or experience on how to face grief in an appropriate way. Talk of death is something we avoid. I heard an estate planning attorney say one time that it was even hard to have those discussions with clients who sought his legal advice to prepare for the reality, so he would refer to it as when your will expires. Fortunately, Lost and Found Grief Center has been there to help an estimated 25,000 neighbors in our region since its founding in 2000. Our community is so fortunate that Sean found his significance after a successful law career, and Karen was there to help the journey with her counseling background. Should you or someone you know be struggling with grief and loss, or if you want to support their work, more information can be found at www.lostandfoundozarks.com. Editor's note, this is one in a series of monthly columns in which Brian Fogel will share the stories of various local nonprofits and the incredible difference they make in our community. Brian Fogel is executive in residence at Drury University and former chief executive officer of the Community Foundation of the Ozarks. At Drury, he is helping support and develop the university's nonprofit leadership programs and connecting students with organizations to meet the needs and challenges of our community. In addition to his 15 years leading CFO, Fogel has been active in numerous civic and nonprofit groups. He can be reached at bfogle@drury.edu.
This is from the Springfield News-Leader. Robert Duvall, Apocalypse Now, and the Godfather icon, dies at 95. Robert Duvall, one of Hollywood's most sought-after character actors, won an Oscar, 2 Emmys, and 4 Golden Globes in his extraordinary career. This is by Brian Alexander and Anna Kaufman from USA Today. Robert Duvall, the Academy Award-winning actor known for his roles in Hollywood classics such as The Godfather and Apocalypse Now, has died. He was 95. Duvall died peacefully at home on February 15th in Middleburg, Virginia. A representative for the actor confirmed. He was with his wife, Luciana Duvall. To the world, he was an Academy Award-winning actor, a director, and a storyteller. To me, he was simply everything, Luciana Duvall wrote on Facebook. His passion for his craft was matched only by his deep love for characters, a great meal, and holding court. For each of his many roles, Bob gave everything to his characters and to the truth of the human spirit they represented. In doing so, he leaves something lasting and unforgettable to us all. During a 7-decade stage, TV, and screen acting career, Duvall disappeared into a stunning range of strong-willed characters, leading to 7 Oscar nominations and a Best Actor win for his role as a down-and-out country singer in 1983's Tender Mercies. He also won 2 Primetime Emmys and 4 Golden Globes for his work. He played a wide array of unforgettable men, from mafia lawyer Tom Hagen in Francis Ford Coppola's 1972 The Godfather, to the surf and napalm-loving Lieutenant Colonel Bill Kilgore in Coppola's 1979 Vietnam War saga Apocalypse Now, in which Duvall utters the immortal line, "I love the smell of napalm in the morning. It smells like victory." His domineering Marine pilot patriarch Bull Meacham in The Great Santini burst onto movie screens in 1979, earning another Oscar nomination. Just for good measure, he appeared that same year as General Dwight D. Eisenhower in the miniseries Ike: The War Years. Also on TV, he became Joseph Stalin in 1992's Nazi Adolf Eichmann in 1996 is The Man Who Captured Eichmann, and his favorite role, Texas Ranger Captain Augustus Gus McCrae, in the 1989 miniseries Lonesome Dove. Still, Duvall, who obsessed over tango dancing when he wasn't acting, felt all of these characters came from within. Has to be, it's you underneath, Duvall told CBS 60 Minutes in 2004. You interpret somebody, you try to let it come from yourself. Born Robert Selden Duvall on January 5, 1931, to career Navy officer and later Admiral William Howard Duvall and actress Mildred Virginia, Duvall told USA Today in 2014 that it was his mother who ran the show growing up. It was supposed to be when the military guy comes back, she imperceptibly gives him the power to run the family until he goes away again, Duvall said. He never had it. After a brief military stint, Duvall began his acting career with off-Broadway plays in New York City, becoming close friends and often roommates with up-and-coming actors Dustin Hoffman, Gene Hackman, and James Caan. The impressive stage roles landed Duvall a major movie debut, the wordless but memorable Boo Radley in 1962's To Kill a Mockingbird. But Duvall struggled to stand out, even with significant minor roles such as 1969's dastardly Lucky Ned Pepper, who battled to the death on horses with John Wayne's one-eyed federal marshal Rooster Cogburn, and the classic 1969 Western True Grit, a role which won Wayne his only Oscar. He would break out in 1972's The Godfather as the indecipherable Irish Hagen, the loyal adopted family consigliere to the Corleone clan. Duvall reprised his role in 1974's lauded sequel, The Godfather Part 2. Described by People magazine as Hollywood's number 2 lead, Duvall didn't appear in Coppola's 1990 trilogy ending, The Godfather Part 3, after a dispute over his paycheck compared to Al Pacino, who played family head Michael Corleone. If they paid Pacino twice what they paid me, that's fine, but not 3 or 4 times, which is what they did, Duvall told 60 Minutes of his decision to sit out the finale. It was his movie-stealing supporting role in Coppola's Apocalypse Now that Duvall earned his most widespread public acclaim. As the shirtless Kilgore, he demanded his men surf even amid a fierce battle. Throughout his career, Duvall relished telling variations of fan moments centered around Kilgore's famed line. People come up to me on the street and say, "I love the smell of napalm in the morning," like I never knew it and had forgotten it after I said it, Duvall said with a laugh on the Bob Costas Later talk show in 1991. It's like, enough's enough. Duvall reached cult-level status portraying Texas Ranger McCrae in Lonesome Dove, based on the Larry McMurtry novels of the same name. I remember walking into the mess hall one day on Lonesome Dove. I said, "Boys, we're making a Godfather of Westerns," Duvall told the Los Angeles Times in 2014. In 2021, he name-checked the movie to USA Today as the performance he was proudest of. The Western is our genre in the United States of America. The English have Shakespeare, the French have Molière, the Russians have Chekhov, but we have the Western, Duvall said. At the 1989 Emmy Awards, the 4-part series brought in 7 wins, including Best Actor in a Miniseries for Duvall from 18 nominations. I said to myself, now I can retire, I've done something, he told Esquire. Duvall, who married 4 times, never truly considered retiring from acting. In 2002, he starred, wrote, and produced and directed the crime thriller Assassination Tango with his Argentinian partner, Luciana Pedraza, who became Duvall's 4th wife in 2004 and shared his birthday. Portraying embattled country judge Joseph Palmer in The Judge, alongside Robert Downey as his city slicker attorney's son, Duvall pulled out his 7th Oscar nomination from the forgettable screen drama at age 84, setting a record for the oldest actor nomination since eclipsed by Christopher Plummer. Duvall forged ahead, playing racist Chicago political operative Tom Mulligan in Steve McQueen's Widows in 2018. In 2021, he appeared in the high school football drama 12 Mighty Orphans, and in 2022, the Adam Sandler basketball comedy Hustle. The actor told Esquire that the search for the next perfect role would never end as long as he could stand. "I've done a lot of crap, but I've done a lot of good stuff too," Duvall said. "You always wish there was one more. It's like the great jumping horse riders, always looking for a horse, the horse."
This is the Springfield News-Leader. Motorcyclist dies from injuries sustained in Springfield crash by Martimise. A motorcyclist involved in a crash 2 weeks ago has died from his injuries. Joseph Thornton, 47, was riding a 2006 Harley-Davidson motorcycle southbound on Glenstone Avenue on the bridge over Traffic Way Street with his passenger, Shayla Evans, 37, on the evening of February 16th, according to a Springfield Police Department news release. Thornton hit another motorcycle, which left the scene prior to officers responding at 9:43 p.m. Beth Thornton and Evans, neither of whom were wearing helmets, were taken to the hospital for their injuries. Thornton died from his injuries on Saturday, February 28th. The SPD was notified Monday, March 2nd. The motorcyclist who left the scene of the crash has been identified, according to the news release. The case will be presented to the Greene County Prosecutor's Office for review and potential filing of criminal charges. The circumstances of the crash are part of an ongoing investigation. Anyone with information should contact the SPD at 417-864-1810 or make an anonymous tip to Crime Stoppers at 417-869-TIPS, TIPS, 8477, or online at p3tips.com. This marks the 3rd fatal motor vehicle crash in Springfield in 2026.
This is from This is from the Springfield Daily Citizen. As LifeTouch CEO reaffirms student security in wake of Epstein rumors, SPS keeps contract in place. A handful of smaller school districts canceled photo services with the company after online claims connected an investment fund CEO to Jeffrey Epstein by Joe Hadsall. And there's a picture of the Springfield Public Schools Administrative Center with the sign is blue and it says main entrance. Springfield Public Schools is sticking with a national photography vendor after social media posts suggested it had connections to a CEO with ties to Jeffrey Epstein. The social media post led to a handful of school districts to cancel contracts with Shutterfly LifeTouch over the alleged connections, even though LifeTouch is not specifically mentioned in the Epstein files released by the United States Justice Department. The company has labeled allegations in those posts as completely false, according to the Associated Press. CEO Tim Murphy, in a statement earlier this month, emphasized the importance of security and the steps the company takes. As a trusted partner to schools for 90 years, we're committed to protecting the privacy and personal information of every student we serve, Medley wrote. When LifeTouch photographers take your student's picture, that image is safeguarded for families and schools only, with no exceptions. LifeTouch does not and has never provided images to any third party. Shutterfly LifeTouch is one of 5 companies that take student portraits for the district schools. Stephen Hall, Chief Communications Officer for the district, said that its schools have a large need for photos of its about 25,000 students, mainly for fall pictures at the beginning of the school year. That demand led SPS to issue a bid structured to hire multiple companies. The bid allows each school's administrator to choose which company takes the photos. As a result, we awarded contracts to several vendors, and the building leader at each site has the discretion to select the company they want to work with, Hall said. The scope of the services mainly focuses on fall pictures, and it establishes standard packages and contract pricing. The contract currently in place ends at the end of the current school year, but has options for 2 additional 1-year renewals. It includes Interstate Studio, Jostens of Southwest Missouri, Shutterfly LifeTouch LLC, Strawbridge Studios Incorporated, and Wagner Portrait Group. LifeTouch was acquired by Shutterfly in 2019. Online posts linked LifeTouch to the investment fund manager Apollo Global Management, a company formerly led by billionaire investor Leon Black. According to the Associated Press, Black met regularly with Epstein and was advised by Epstein on financial matters. Black led Apollo as CEO when it managed funds that were used for the LifeTouch acquisition. That $2.7 billion deal closed in September of 2019, about a month after authorities say Epstein died by suicide while awaiting trial on charges of sexual abuse and trafficking of underage girls. In his statement, Murphy said neither Apollo nor its funds are involved in the day-to-day operations of LifeTouch, and that no one with Apollo had access to any student images. LifeTouch is not named in the Epstein files, Murphy wrote. The documents contain no allegations that LifeTouch itself was involved in or that student photos were used in any illicit activities. Smaller school districts in Texas and Arizona hastily canceled student photo plans this month related to the social media posts. They appear to be part of a significant impact of the release of millions of files from the Epstein investigation, which include records of his conversations with CEOs, politicians, and others long after his 2008 conviction for sex crime charges. That massive database of files has so far included no evidence of Epstein or anyone in his orbit seeing LifeTouch photos, according to the AP. Joe Hadsall is the education reporter for the Springfield Daily Citizen. Hadsall has more than 2 decades of experience reporting in the Ozarks with the Joplin Globe, Christian County Headliner News, and 417 Magazine. Contact him at 417-837-3671 or jhadsall at sgfcitizen.org.
This is the Springfield Daily Citizen. City Attorney acknowledges Citizens Advisory Board out of compliance with city charter. Mayor Jeff Schrag said he is prepared to sponsor a resolution correcting the charter violations, by Jack McGee. Pictured is Springfield City Attorney Jordan Paul. He speaks at a meeting of the Springfield City Council on Monday, October 7th in 2024 in this photo. He is with very short hair, receding hairline, but a middle-aged gentleman, clean shaven. He is wearing a dark brown suit with a light blue button down and a purplish blue tie with red patterning. And then he is surrounded by 3 other gentlemen whose faces are not shown. Following a legal review of the Citizens Advisory Board, which came under scrutiny last week when citizen watchdog Linda Simpkins sent the Springfield City Council a letter saying the board's composition violates the Springfield City Charter, City Attorney Jordan Paul has determined that the board is in fact out of compliance with the charter. There is also a 15-minute video if you'd like to go to the website at springfieldsgfcitizen.org. There is a video on this as well. Paul presented the findings from his review prompted at the request of a city council member and recommendations for how to correct the violations to the city council on March 2nd. In her February 23rd letter to council members, Simpkins stated that the resolution establishing the board, which was created to recommend projects for funding for the half-cent portion of the three-quarter-cent sales tax passed by voters in November 2024, known as Spring Forward SGF, violates the charter in various ways, including by allowing non-Springfield residents to serve on the board, for the board to consist of fewer than 9 members, and by appointing a chairperson. Specifically, the resolution allows for the board to consist of 7 to 11 members who have resided or worked in the city for at least 1 year prior to their appointment. Unless otherwise specified, Article 15 of the City Charter requires boards to have 9 members, all of whom must have resided in the city for at least 2 years prior to their appointment. The board is currently comprised of 8 members, 2 of whom do not live within Springfield city limits, Aaron D'Anastasio and Christina Engel, who both work in Springfield and live nearby. In addition to D'Anastasio and Engel, the board comprises Leslie Forrester, Andy Peebles, Lauren Shantz, Cliff Smart, Becky Voles, and Rusty Worley. While the City Council originally intended for the board to have 9 members, one of the individuals appointed, Andy Lear, ultimately declined the appointment due to personal reasons. Moreover, despite the charter allowing boards to appoint their own chairperson and officers, the City Council selected D'Anastasio as chair and Worley as vice chair in establishing the Citizens Advisory Board. Paul, board's past actions remain valid. Pictured are the Citizens Advisory Board in May 2025. From the top left to top right, you have Andy Peebles. He is wearing short hair with a short beard. He has a plaid jacket or plaid style, dark brown jacket with a white open at the top button down, and gray slacks with a brown belt and brown shoes. Next to him is Leslie Forrester. She is wearing a white blouse with a bright coral pink jacket. She has short brown hair or shoulder length and is wearing glasses, smiling. Everybody is smiling. We have Cliff Smart and Rusty Worley, respectively, continuing at the top right. Worley is an older gentleman. Both of them are older gentlemen. One with glasses, and he is. We have Cliff with glasses. I will get this, and a open collared blue button down with a pen in his pocket and khaki slacks and belted. Then you have Rusty Worley, and he is a taller gentleman wearing a gray suit, black shoes, and a shorter cut. Then from bottom left to bottom right, we have Becky Voles. She is wearing a dark gray suit with a white blouse. She has peppered gray hair, cut short in a nice bobbish style cut. We have Erin D'Anastasio. She is looks around in her 30s. She has sort of a dirty blonde color that is cut just under her chin in a bob style. She is wearing a nice silvered necklace with a charm. She has a light blue jacket with a white blouse, and she is wearing a three-quarter pant that is dark blue with a coral heel. And then you have Christina Engel. She is wearing a black cocktail-style dress with a sage green jacket. And she has shoulder-length blonde hair in a modern cut. And she is wearing blue or black shoes. And then you have Lauren Shantz. She has longer brown hair. Looks like she is in her late 20s, early 30s. She is wearing a black suit with a cheetah print shirt and some heels with some bows on the front and a pair of earrings. While recognizing the need to address the discrepancies between the board's composition and the city charter, Paul said the issues are ultimately negligible and that the board's past actions remain valid. First of all, the CAB is an advisory board. Paul told council members it's not the final authority on what gets funded or even necessarily what gets considered. You all recall that this board is governed by the ordinance passed by the voters. There were some additional parameters that council assigned to them in these resolutions, and one of those even includes the ability for council to funnel projects for review that the board has to consider. The second is that, just in terms of operations thus far, the CAB spending recommendations have been unanimous, from what I remember, at least as far as funding recommendations are concerned. And so the votes of the two members who are not residents, who only constitute 25% of the board, haven't been determinative for any purposes, much less any kind of decision that appropriated money. Nonetheless, Paul acknowledged that the current composition of the Citizens Advisory Board is out of compliance with the charter and accepted responsibility for failing to identify what he characterized as a technical error that caused two components of the structure to be misaligned with Article 15 of the charter. It cannot be overstated that this is not a mismatch between, at any point, council's words and actions, board's words and actions, staff's words and actions, Paul said. And city council and staff have honored their word to the public at every stage of the process. Paul also emphasized that the current members of the Citizens Advisory Board are not at fault. They applied and were appointed through a public and transparent process, Paul said. They have served diligently and in good faith. This issue is not attributable to them. In addition to the charter violation, Simpkins, in her letter to the council, has also expressed concern over board members' involvement in other organizations, particularly with regard to D'Anastasio and Forrester participating in the Citizens Advisory Board vote to recommend $30 million for a new convention and event center, which also is serving Visit Springfield, Missouri Board of Directors, which has also played a leading role in efforts to develop the project. Linda Simpkins, pictured, also asked a question at January 2026 public meeting about the proposed convention and event center in this Daily Citizen's file photo. She is wearing a tan or a darker white sweatshirt style shirt. She has shorter dirty blonde hair and is wearing black rimmed glasses. D'Anastasio's dual membership on these two boards presents competing interests, Simpkins wrote in the February 23rd letter. The city's code of ethics for board members says no person can serve two masters, nor should he attempt to do so. While it may or may not violate state ethics laws, it certainly has the perception to the public of a conflict of interest, and both should have revealed the conflict and recused from voting. Simpkins also pointed out that several board members have ties to the Springfield area Chamber of Commerce, and that Smart and Lear, although he didn't end up serving on the board, also serve as unpaid members of the nonprofit Springfield Daily Citizen's Board of Directors. Editors note the Springfield Daily Citizen's Board of Directors played no role in day-to-day news coverage. See the Daily Citizen ethics policy and the board's conflict of interest policy, and there is a link here. Mayor Jeff Schrag, who was elected after the board's formation along with Zone 4 council member Bruce Adib Yazdi, rejected the notion of a conflict of interest, noting that the city relies on volunteers to give up their time and talents on boards and commissions. The volunteers of the Citizens Advisory Board are no exception, Schrag said. They have taken an idea and turned it into a productive working board to organize, vet, and recommend projects to City Council for City Council's consideration. Everyone, and I repeat myself, everyone on that board is serving honorably and ethically without exception. Any allegations that are contrary are simply not true. Likewise, Paul said he did not have any concerns with the conduct of any board members. At a Citizens Advisory Board meeting last week, Paul said conflict of interest provisions in the city charter pertaining to boards and commissions primarily deals with contracts administered or overseen by a board, which the CAB does not do. In that situation, the money, that contract would be administered by the city proper, not by this board, first of all, Paul said at the February 25th meeting. Second of all, I think we generally treat nonprofit board members as not having financial interests if they're not compensated in funds that flow to the nonprofits. So I kind of thought that the opinion was relatively tortured from a conflict of interest perspective. Non-resident members could continue to serve in non-voting capacity. While the board was ultimately established by the City Council, Paul recalled that the idea of an advisory board for the Spring Forward SGF sales tax originated from the Citizens Commission on Community Investment, the 30-member ad hoc committee that recommended the sales tax for the ballot. I think the vision was for the CCCI to transition from a very large group to basically a smaller, more working group, the CAB, with the same idea, same vision, same type of member, I think, is what was intended, Paul said, and the legal framework that accompanied that simply wasn't appreciated at the time. Paul suggested that this could be because the CCCI was not subject to the Article 15 of the city charter, which he said doesn't apply to ad hoc committees or boards governed by state law. At the end of the day here, the CAB, as it was created, is going to find itself governed by Article 15 because that is the source of authority that created it, and it does have a continuing existence, Paul said. In order to bring the board into compliance with the charter, Paul is proposing the City Council repeal the previous resolutions regarding the Citizens Advisory Board and replace them with a new resolution requiring the board to consist of 9 members who comply with the charter's residency requirements. In order to do so, the City Council will need to select 3 new members. City Clerk Anita Cotter said the city has never stopped accepting applications for the board and continues to receive them periodically. Rather than removing the 2 non-resident members entirely, Paul said council has the option to allow them to remain in a non-voting capacity as non-resident local sales tax stakeholders, which he said is a concept that has been used in the past. In addition, the new resolution would also allow the board to elect its own chair and officers. Even though he believes the board's past actions remain valid, Paul is also proposing for the new Look Board to adopt a motion ratifying all prior funding recommendations and for council to similarly pass a measure affirming prior board actions. I don't think it's necessary, but it's easy to do, and there's no downside to doing it, Paul said. In addition, Paul is recommending the city perform a comprehensive audit of all the boards to ensure they align with the city charter, noting that he has identified at least one other board out of compliance with Article 15 in reviewing the Citizens Advisory Board. Horton, intent was to cast a wide net. Pictured is Springfield City Council member Brandon Jensen, Zone 3, attending a meeting of the Springfield City Council on Monday, October 7th, 2024, photo by Jim Wilson. He has a modern-style male cut with brown hair. He seems to be about in his mid-30s. He is wearing a multicolored striped shirt, red and blue stripes, with a white background underneath a gray jacket. Council member Brandon Jensen recommended Paul for accepting responsibility for his oversight and for taking the initiative to conduct an audit of other boards and commissions. I think public ownership, even when we make well-intentioned mistakes, is really important for transparency and public trust, Jensen said. I believe you when you say that this was just a genuine mistake and recognizing how it happened. I think it's understandable that it did, and also recognizing that you're using this as an opportunity to evaluate all of our boards and commissions for compliance is really the best way to respond. Recalling a December 17, 2024 meeting where council members discussed potential qualifications for Citizens Advisory Board members, Councilmember Monica Horton said it was their intent in allowing non-residents who work in Springfield to serve on the board to cast a wide net and minimize any barriers to application. I think that this situation really reflects intent versus impact, Horton said. So we talk about what is the intent of something versus what is the impact. We know the intent, good faith situation, intended to be in full compliance with the city charter. But we realize that the impact of that conversation that happened on December the 17th, not realizing that there was a whole city charter that needed to factor into decisions that were being made. And so we're here today to really address what is the impact of our good intent. However, Horton questioned why the City Council would allow non-residents to continue serving in a non-voting capacity and suggested a corresponding provision in a draft resolution, which is still a work in progress and was not provided to the Daily Citizen upon request, be removed. I don't know how it feels to anyone else. It feels a little bit, it's not skirting around the city charter, but it just feels like it's towing the line a bit, in the sense that I would propose removing that altogether from the proposal so that we can just come into full compliance, Horton said. Pictured is Springfield City Council member Monica Horton, Zone 1, attending a meeting of the Springfield City Council on Monday, October 7th. She is a brown woman with glasses and beautiful hair. She is wearing a patterned shirt, or beautiful curly hair, and she's wearing a patterned blue-white gray shirt, kind of an infinity symbol pattern throughout with a black background. She has her computer and her sign that says Monica Horton, Zone 1 Councilwoman, City of Springfield, Missouri. Councilmember Adib Yazdi suggested that even without voting power, non-residents could provide valuable input on the Citizens Advisory Board, as there are a lot of people who live outside the city limits who work and spend money in Springfield. Having them not be able to vote is a tough thing, but I think ultimately there's some value in that input, and I'm not saying we shouldn't take them off the equation, Adib Yazdi said. Horton responded, "The intent of that is great. It's just, is it in compliance with our city charter?" Councilmember Heather Hardinger echoed Adib Yazdi's sentiment, recognizing the inherent value of having non-voting members in an advisory group. I think giving folks who maybe don't live inside the city limits but have a Springfield address, I think helps them at least have a say in influencing some of these decisions and sharing their perspective, Hardinger said. Jensen agreed, noting that the proposed changes appear to bring the board into compliance with the city charter. Schrag prepared to sponsor the resolution. Pictured is Springfield Mayor Jeff Schrag, who presides over a meeting of the Springfield City Council on Monday, October 20th, 2025. He is pictured wearing a blue polo-style shirt, and he has kind of a longer peppered-colored haircut, and a white beard. While Schrag initially planned to propose a city council committee review of all boards and commissions and, quote-unquote, fix everything, he said he was now prepared to bring forward a resolution addressing the problems with the Citizens Advisory Board, potentially at the March 9th council meeting. Upon some reflection, the city attorney's office has asked me to separate those two things and to take care of this one sooner rather than later, but then also initiate that review of all the other boards and commissions, assign that to a council committee that would probably take a couple of months to come back before us, Schrag said. Councilmember Craig Hosmer said unless there's a rush, he would prefer the corrective resolution first go to committee, which Schrag said he would be fine with. While the board was not likely to make any recommendations in the near future anyway, having recently recommended nearly $41 million for a number of projects, including the renovation and expansion of the Springfield Art Museum, Paul advised against the board voting on anything until the charter violations are corrected and suggested that should council send a corrective resolution to committee, pausing board activities entirely. Jensen expressed support for pausing board activities and suggested that Paul provided the reconstituted board, once established, a refresher on the conflict of interest policy, alluding to the concerns raised in Simpkins' letter. Maybe I take too strong of interpretation on the conflict of interest, but I serve on a number of nonprofit boards. I don't receive any financial compensation from that, but I do always recuse myself from any votes that involve those organizations, even though there's no financial tieback or financial interest for me in my role on that board, Jensen said. And that's essentially the same issue that was brought to concern in the communications that we received. So I do think it would be helpful once the board is reconstituted to do that training again and really emphasize that perception of conflict of interest, even if no real conflict exists, because even taking caution on that perception issue is what can really build up or really undermine public trust in our processes. Jensen also requested the proposed resolution be modified so that future appointments be considered by the City Council's Committee of the Whole, which is composed of all council members, as opposed to the Public Involvement Committee, consisting of 4 members, and on occasion, the mayor in an ex officio capacity. This is by Jack McGee. He is the government affairs reporter at the Springfield Daily Citizen. He previously covered politics and business for the Daily Citizen. He's an MSU graduate with a Bachelor of Science degree in journalism and a minor in political science. You can reach him at jmcgee@sgfcitizen.org or 417-837-3663.
This is from the Springfield Daily Citizen. Poking around, press release about Safe Haven baby box makes me wonder if Springfield has them. Springfield chief says hospitals, maternity homes, and pregnancy resource centers already serve as designated safe haven locations under Missouri law and are appropriately staffed and prepared for newborn care. Like most news organizations, the Springfield Daily Citizen receives many press releases that seem misdirected. They are sent to us even though the people and events highlighted are far from Springfield, or in some cases have nothing to do with Missouri. State Representative Jeff Vernetti, a Republican from Camdenton, earlier this month sent us news that he had raised $16,000 in private donations so the Mid-County Fire Protection District, also in Camdenton, could purchase and install a Safe Haven baby box. According to Safe Haven's website, Safe Haven baby boxes offer a compassionate and secure option for mothers in crisis who are unable to care for their newborns. Designed with innovative safety features and installed on the exterior walls of fire stations and hospitals, each box ensures the safe and anonymous surrender of infants. The exterior door locks automatically when a newborn is placed inside, and an interior door allows medical personnel to promptly and securely retrieve the baby, ensuring immediate care and protection. Safe Haven baby boxes are a vital resource, providing a lifeline for mothers and a safe beginning for their newborns. Safe Haven has been making them since 2016. The news value of the press release is far greater in Camdenton than in Springfield, but it made me wonder, are any of these baby boxes, whatever the brand, at a Springfield fire station? SGF Fire Chief says there are better places to leave a baby than a fire station. So I emailed Springfield Fire Chief David Pennington. He responded, "The intent of the Safe Haven program is admirable, and we fully support efforts that protect infants and provide parents with a safe and legal alternative. However, hospitals, maternity homes, and pregnancy resource centers already serve as designated safe haven locations under Missouri law and are appropriately staffed and prepared for newborn care. Shifting that responsibility to the fire department does not increase safety or access and creates an operational impact which disrupts our core mission of emergency response." I also had asked if he could recall any instances where a baby was abandoned at a Springfield fire station. He could not. He's been with the department 28 years. I found few Springfield news stories about abandoned babies. I checked the archives of Springfield News-Leader and the Springfield News-Leader for the term abandoned baby for the years 1950 to February 2026. I skimmed the 232 stories that popped up. Very few were about an infant abandoned in Springfield. But what I didn't learn is that abandoned baby is a favorite topic of dramas on TV, in plays, novels, and in movies. I found 5 stories, and in one of them, the most recent, a young mother was about to abandon her baby when she changed her mind and told authorities she had found the abandoned baby, which was her own. July 24th, 1998. According to that news story, the 24-year-old woman was sentenced to a year of probation for filing a false police report. She told police she and her toddler son found the baby outside Cherry Street Baptist Church in a cardboard box. A day later, while searching for the baby's mother, police discovered that the child was in fact the woman's and that she had given birth to him 36 hours before, alone in her bedroom closet. The young woman held the baby the entire time while outside the church that July morning, never able to put it in the cardboard box. Inside the box was a handwritten note from the woman saying she wanted a couple from the church to take care of the child. July 7th, 1972, the subhead of this story said, "Adoption consent is sought from abandoned baby's mother. The child was found on the steps of the Church of Christ, 1201 North Campbell, by a city utilities meter reader on June 20th. September 8th, 1957. According to this news story, the trial of a 30-year-old woman charged with second-degree murder after her baby son was found floating in the waters of Doling Park Lake last January is one of 4 criminal cases to be heard in Circuit Court Jury Week. The woman admitted leaving the baby on the bank of the lake December 21st of last year, one day after the infant was born in Berg Hospital. The day old boy was found floating near the shoreline. toward the drain on the north end of the lake by a group of children who had gone to the park's skating rink. The day after the baby was found, the woman admitted to police she abandoned the baby. She said he was not the child of her husband, a Frisco employee, who did not even know she had given birth to a child. June 11, 1954. Juvenile Officer David B. Woodruff today urged that the mother who abandoned her baby on the steps of St. Agnes Catholic Church last weekend come forward and sign relinquishment papers so that the baby can be formally adopted. July 28, 1953. A young unwed mother, 21, who gave birth to her second child alone and unaided, and then left it in a wheelbarrow outside a hospital, today joined the baby at Hanley Hospital after being found by police last night. The Dr. W.E. Hanley City Hospital was a 1950s-era hospital facility in Springfield, built as a wing attached to Burke Hospital at Jefferson Avenue and Lynn Street. The woman, a waitress, today signed papers permitting adoption of the baby after telling police she didn't know about the year's waiting period required for adoption of babies in the absence of parental permission. The woman told police the father is a 28-year-old married man who is out of the city at the present time. She said he fathered another baby born to her at City Hospital about a year ago. That baby was adopted, hospital authorities said today. Child abandonment charges against the woman are possible, but no decision was reached today. This is Poking Around column number 341.
Thunderstorm indicator from Ozarks First ACCAS clouds by Tom Schmidt. Pictured are some ACCAS clouds on Tuesday morning, March 3rd, as seen from the downstream casino and resort camera. They are kind of long streaking clouds, a little bit darker with blue poking between, and this particular photo does have the sun peeking through one set of clouds. There are certain signs in nature that meteorologists look for when forecasting severe weather. There are several animal signs we can look for, but also signs in the sky. Something to look for leading into stormy weather is ACCAS clouds. ACCAS is an abbreviation for Alto Cumulus Castellanus. These clouds signify increasing moisture and instability, two ingredients needed for thunderstorms. They are most common in the morning and can be a clear sign that the atmosphere is primed for thunderstorms later in the day. Granted, there is some kind of trigger like a cold front, dry line, or other boundary to get things started. These clouds are taller than they are wide and have been compared to turrets, as you would see on old home or castle. ACCAS clouds form in the mid-levels of the atmosphere between 8,000 and 15,000 feet. When you have ACCAS in the morning and a storm system out west, you can expect thunderstorms in the afternoon. We are broadcasting live from the Blind Community Thrift Store, the world's first retail store to use NaviLens to help navigate and inform blind and visually impaired individuals while shopping with little to no assistance. For more information, visit our website at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com.
This is from 417 Magazine, where kids can eat for free in Springfield, Missouri. We dug up all the best local places to get free or nearly free meals for your kiddos. It's the perfect excuse to ditch your cooking plans and dine out with the whole family by Taryn Shore McKee. There's a picture of a kid eating pizza. And between homework, sports practice, recitals, and other activities, busy families eat out fairly often, and the never-ending question, what's for dinner, gets expensive fast. That's where knowing exactly where kids eat free in Springfield comes in handy. Whether you're planning weeks ahead or searching on your phone from a parking lot last minute, this roundup is designed to make dining out in Springfield and Southwest Missouri easier and more affordable. Before you go, here are a few important things to know. Kids Eat Free deals almost always come with certain rules. Unless specified otherwise, most are limited to particular days or times, require the purchase of one adult entree, and are dine-in only. Age limits apply too and vary by restaurant. And because promotions can change without much notice, it's always smart to double-check with the restaurant before arriving. These family-friendly restaurants in Springfield, Missouri offer solid food for the entire family, welcome vibes, and deals that actually help stretch the budget. Monday, Springfield Brewing Company at 305 South Market Avenue, Springfield, 417-832-8277. This landmark two-story brewery just off the square downtown offers fast casual-style service, allowing you to order pub fare and craft pizzas from the bar or a QR code at your table. Pair the Kids Eat Free promo with happy hour from 3 to 6 p.m. when draft beers are $2 off. Kids Eat Free details. It's for 12 years and under. Why it works for families. House-made root beer with 2 stories and loads of seating. It's easy to find a quieter table. Pool tables and arcade games, plus the outside patio welcomes dogs. The Roost Bar and Grill at 2025 West Sunshine Street, Suite 104, Springfield, 417-865-4000. At 4216 South Cox Road, Suite 112, Springfield, 417-612-9050, and at 2510 South State Highway, MM Republic, 417-771-5141. Many locals have strong opinions that the Roost Burger is the best in town. With cheese and a fried egg, add bacon. Beyond that, the family-friendly sports bar menu includes 11 other burgers, a dozen sandwiches and wraps, a variety of pizzas, and a half a dozen salads. Why it works for families. Kids' chicken tenders and cheese pizza are local favorites, primarily bar and high-top seating at all locations, but boosters and high chairs available. Arcade games and several TVs showing the big game. Pasta Express at 321 East Battlefield, Suite 100, Springfield, 417-885-0030, at 3250 East Battlefield, number A, Springfield, 417-890-1345, and at 3025 West Republic Road, number 104, Springfield, 417-888-3048. As you might expect, the menu prominently features pasta. Baked mostaccioli is a longtime favorite. What you may not expect, the house salad is a standout, topped with Provel. The restaurant also offers a popular family meal with 4 mix-and-match pastas, side salads, and a drink. Kids Eat Free details. 4 to 9 p.m. on Mondays, 12 years and under. Why it works for families. A kiddo-sized portion of toasted ravioli, variety of seating, including booze, plus boosters and high chairs available. Family-centric with laid-back quick service. Rebar Kitchen and Tap Room at 2902 South Campbell Avenue, Suite B, Springfield, 417-530-2309, and 2925 West Republic Road, Springfield, 417-530-2309. Rebar opened its second location on Republic in early 2026. The menu consists largely of elevated bar favorites, think ribeye rolls and duck bacon wontons, but it also offers 2 allergy menus, gluten-free and alpha-gal friendly. On Thursdays, kids also eat free at its sister restaurant, Sidebar, 1111 East Republic Road in Springfield. Why it works for families. The kids' chicken strips are a highlight. Mostly bar seating, but high chairs and booster seats available. Consistently speedy service and a giant 98-inch TVs. On Tuesday, Big Whiskey's 8 locations across 417 land. Founded by 3 local friends who started as one location downtown, has grown to include one in every section of the region. The extensive menu includes brunch, lunch, and dinner, plus over 20 gluten-friendly items. Kids Eat Free details. 5 to 9 p.m. on Tuesdays, dine-in and takeout. Why it works for families. Mini shrimp will delight seafood-loving kids. Booth seating with high chairs and boosters available. Parents can also score $2 beer specials on Tuesdays. Primus Mexican Kitchen at 3662 South Glenstone Avenue, Springfield, 417-890-1212. And at 5557 North 21st Street in Ozarks, 417-582-2776. Bright interiors at both locations match the fresh, colorful ingredients. Expect authentic Mexican flavors and hospitality as the owners hail from Guanajuato, Mexico. Kids Eat Free details. 10 years old and under. Why it works for families. Littles love the customizable nachos and tacos. Loads of booster seats, high chairs, and booth seating. Kids Eat Free coincides with Taco Tuesdays. $2.25 tacos and $2.25 discount on taco dinners. Bear Sports Grill, 3821 South Campbell Avenue, Springfield, 417-368-5919. 1644 US 60 Republic at 417-732-5077. Bears is an inviting, familiar sports bar with 2 locations and an expensive menu. Staples like wings and a whopping 35 burgers comprise most of the menu, with out-of-the-box highlights like the fried pickle and ranch and the horseshoe, served open-faced with chili and queso. Kids Eat Free details. $2.99 kids meal with the purchase of an adult meal, 12 years old and under, dine-in and take-out. Why it works for families. Kid-friendly comfort food options include mini corn dogs, quesadillas, and mac and cheese. Multiple rooms at both locations, each with booth seating, boosters, and high chairs. TVs plus sports and racing paraphernalia-laden walls keep kiddos entertained. And there are many more places that you can have your kids eat free across 417 land.
Average gas prices rise 11 cents overnight to about $3.11, AAA says, by the Associated Press. New York AP, the average price for a gallon of gasoline jumped 11 cents overnight to about $3.11 in the U.S., according to Motor Club AAA. Gas prices were already rising before the U.S. launched strikes on Iran as refiners switch over to the summer blends of fuel. But crude futures have risen sharply this week because of the war. On Tuesday, oil futures soared to levels not seen in more than a year, as Iran launched a series of retaliatory attacks, including a drone strike on the U.S. Embassy in Saudi Arabia. Benchmark U.S. crude jumped 8.6% to $77.36 a barrel. Brent crude, the international standard, added 6.7% to $81.29 a barrel. Global oil prices jumped to start the week over concerns that the war will clog the global flow of crude. Do you want me to do another one? Last week's Springfield restaurant health code violations, February 23rd through 27th, by Tony Noon. Springfield, Missouri. These are the Springfield Restaurant Health Code violations for last week, February 23rd through 27th. Alamo Draft House Cinema, 4005 South Avenue, Springfield. On 2/23 at 3:20 p.m., routine inspection results active. Priority violations found 0. Non-priority violations found 1. Observed clean drinking classes, stacked wet. Repeat issue, education given. Amazing Buffet City, 2501 South Campbell Avenue, 2/25/2026, 4:15 p.m. Routine inspection, result active. Priority violations found 1. Observed. Mussels sitting on countertop were tested at 58 degrees Fahrenheit. Education provided. Potentially hazardous food must be kept at 41 degrees Fahrenheit and below or 135 Fahrenheit and above. Corrective action, PIC voluntarily discarded temperature-abused food. Non-priority violations found 1. Observed employee washed hands in prep sink with shrimp thawing in the adjacent compartment. Education provided. Employees must wash hands in a designated hand sink. Corrective action, employee was instructed to rewash hands in a correct hand-washing sink, and then contaminated shrimp was discarded. Bambino's Cafe and Bake Shop, 2810 East Battlefield Road, Springfield, 2/23/26, 3:15 p.m. Routine inspection, result active. Priority violations found 2. Observed employee having an open-faced drink in a food prep station, education given, corrected on site. Observed potentially hazardous food item, meatballs, being held below 135 degrees Fahrenheit, education given, corrected on site. Non-priority violations found 1. Observed debris on the floor of the walk-in cooler and splatter on the ceiling in a dish pit area, education given. Big Easy Grill, 3641 East Sunshine Street, Springfield, 2/25/26 at 2:50 p.m. Routine inspection, result active. Priority violations found 0. Non-priority violations found 1. Observed wet wiping cloth not stored in sanitizer. Education given, corrected on site. Big Whiskey's American Bar and Grill, 1550 East Battlefield Road, Springfield, 22426, 3:55 p.m. Routine inspection, result active. Priority violations found, 0. Non-priority violations found, 1. Observed, floor fan on kitchen floor has excessive debris buildup. Required, clean at a frequency to maintain free of debris buildup. Buffalo Wild Wings, Patton Springfield, OPCO LLC, 900 East Battlefield Road, Springfield, 22526. Routine inspection, result active. Priority violations found, 1. Observed debris buildup inside soda gun holster. Increased cleaning frequency to decrease buildup. Education was given. Non-priority violations found, 1. Observed 2 mops were not hung up to air dry. Education was given, corrected on site. Clearwater Cafe, 2500 East Kearney Street, Springfield, 22326, 11:10 a.m. Routine inspection, result active. Priority violations found, 0. Non-priority violations found, 2. Observed the hand washing sinks found without proper signage. Education given. Observed the fan cover in the walk-in cooler and dish pit area found not clean. Education given. Cold Stone Creamery, 900 East Battlefield Road, 22626. Inspection result active. On site for reinspection of water fixtures in facility. All water fixtures have hot water. Violation has been corrected. Priority violations found, 0. Non-priority violations found, 0. Cold Stone Creamery at 900 East Battlefield Road. Routine inspection result permitted with reinspection. Priority violations found, 1. Observed multiple water fixtures at 73 degrees Fahrenheit. Education was given. And as we just read, it was corrected. Cracker Barrel Old Country Store, 2858 North Glenstone Avenue, 22526 at 11:05 a.m. Routine inspection, result active. Priority violations found, 1. Observed food utensils found being stored not clean. Education given, corrected on site. Non-priority violations found, 1. Observed dishes found being stacked prior to proper air drying. Education given. Discount Smokes and Beer, 635 South Kimbrough Avenue, 22726, 12:40 p.m. Routine inspection. Priority violations found, 0. Non-priority violations found, 2. Observed no test strips to check sanitizer concentration on site. Observed no paper towels to dry hands available. Fast Black Sheep Burgers at 2420 East Sunshine Street, 22526, 3:50 p.m. Routine inspection. Result permitted with reinspection. Priority violations found, 2. Observed potentially hazardous foods not being held at or below 41 degrees Fahrenheit in the Red Bull drive-thru cooler. Ranch, 52 degrees Fahrenheit. Truffle mayo, 48 degrees Fahrenheit. Garlic mayo, 49 degrees Fahrenheit. Ambient cooler temp, 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Items were voluntarily discarded. A reinspection will occur. Observed chlorine sanitizer residual in the dish machine, testing 0 ppm. Chlorine sanitizer jug was replaced and sanitizer tested between 50 to 100 ppm, corrected on site. Non-priority violations found, 0. Hy-Vee, Italian and Chinese, 1720 West Battlefield Road, 22326, 12:30 p.m. Reinspection, result active. On site for reinspection for cold hold unit. Cold hold unit is holding potentially hazardous foods at 41 degrees Fahrenheit and below. Violation has been corrected. Priority violations found, 0. Non-priority violations found, 0. Hy-Vee Produce, 2150 East Sunshine Street, 22526, 2:30. Routine inspection. Result permitted with reinspection. Priority violations found, 1. Observed hand sink in produce cooler not operating. A reinspection will occur. Non-priority violations found, 0. Jose Locos, 935 North Glenstone Avenue, 22426, 12:15 p.m. Routine inspection. Result active. Priority violations found, 1. Observed raw bacon stored over ready-to-eat food item tomatoes in the walk-in cooler. Education given, corrected on site. King Food Saver, number 34 Deli, 1831 West Kearney Street, 22626. 3:21 p.m. Routine inspection. Result active. Priority violations found, 1. Observed 3 utensils stored dirty. Education provided, corrected on site. Non-priority violations found, 0. Krispy Kreme Donut Corporation, 3860 South Campbell Avenue, 22626 at 2:35 p.m. Regarding inspection, result active. On site for reinspection for cold hold unit. Cold hold unit was holding 41 degrees Fahrenheit or below. Violation has been corrected. Krispy Kreme Donut Corporation at 3860. This is their prior on 224. So at 224, they observed bottle of milk at 46 degrees Fahrenheit to 51 degrees Fahrenheit. Inside reach-in cooler, the milk was voluntarily discarded. The cold hold units must potentially hold hazards at 41 degrees Fahrenheit or below. And they observed 6 bottles of milk 1 day past discard date, and those were also voluntarily discarded, and education was given. All things have been corrected. Mexican Villa, 1408 South National Avenue, 22426. Routine inspection results, suspend, public. Plumbing failure has resulted in standing gray water in the kitchen area. Facility will be closed until repairs can be made. Priority violations found 0, non-priority violations found 1. Observed hand sink was blocked off in the kitchen. Employees stated they were washing hands in the 3-compartment sink. Education provided. Hand washing must be done in a hand washing sink. Corrective action. Hand sink was unblocked. Employees washed hands inside hand washing sink. Corrected on site. MFA Petroleum Company break time. Republic. 2225 North Stone Creek Drive, Brookline, 22526, 11:50 a.m. Routine inspection, result active. Priority violations found 0, non-priority violations found 1. Observed used mop heads stored wet in mop sink. Education given, corrected on site. Misaki 2, 2710 South Campbell Avenue, Springfield, 22526, 2:40 p.m. Routine inspection, result active. Priority violations found 2. Observed bottle of mayo sitting out on the counter tested at 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Education provided. Potentially hazardous foods must be held at 41. Corrective action, pick discarded bottle of mayo, corrected on site. Observed raw chicken stored above scallops. Education provided. Foods with higher cooking temperature must be stored in a manner that they cannot contaminate foods with a lower cooking temperature. Corrective action, raw foods were rearranged into the proper storage order, corrected on site. Non-priority violations found 1. Observed dirt paths and large amounts of debris buildup on the floor in the front of the service area and the back kitchen. Frying station prep cooler has large amount of encrusted debris buildup on it. Cooking station and walls of cooking station have buildup. Education provided. Physical facilities need to be cleaned as often as necessary to keep them clean. Corrective action, PIC stated they would work on getting these areas cleaned. Nona's Italian American Cafe, 306 South Avenue. Observed a bottle of bleach stored on top of container of fryer oil, relocated to washer-dryer room. Nori, Japan, had 2825 South Glenstone Avenue. Priority 22426. Priority violations found 2. Observed a live cockroach crawling up the wall by the mop sink. A reinspection will occur. Observed mouse droppings on the floor and on shelves in the dry storage area. A reinspection will occur. Non-priority violations found 1. Observed raw shell eggs stored over broccoli in the rock-in cooler. A reinspection will occur. 1 to 5, 1846 South State Avenue, 125 Rogersville. Non-priority violations found 2. Observed debris on both bar guns. Education given. Observed gap on exterior door and food storage area. Ruby Tuesday, 2725 North Glenstone. Non-priority violations found 2. Observed the ceiling vents through the kitchen not clean. A ceiling vent in the kitchen found in disrepair. Education given. Shady Dell School, 2757 East Division Street, 225, 10:40 a.m. Non-priority violations found 1. Observed grease trap leaking by the floor by a 3-compartment sink. Shanghai Inn Prime Build, 1937 North Glenstone. Observed raw food product found being stored over ready-to-eat food product. Corrected on site. Non-priority violations 1. The floor underneath the fryer station found not clean. Increased cleaning frequency due to grease buildup. There is a lot. Show me chewy. Priority violations found 3. All right. Observed raw scallops stored above diced tomatoes and mixed greens in lower prep cooler. Education given. Observed cooler drawer undergrow with octopus at 47 degrees, walleye at 45, salmon at 47, calamari at 46, shrimp at 46, ambient temperature at 44. Education given. Food was voluntarily discarded. Potentially hazardous foods. We know that now. We're just going to sum this up since we know the basics now. Observed lasagna sauce, cooked prime rib, cooked pork shanks in walk-in cooler without date marking. Education given. Non-priority violations found 1. Observed cooked noodles cooling in the walk-in cooler with lids on and stacked together. Lids removed and containers were unstacked to allow airflow. Corrected on site. Repeat violation. So that's Show Me Chewy. Sleep In, 233 East El Camino Alto. Observed self-service fridge not cold or holding at below temperature for yogurt, cream cheese, butter, and all at 44 degrees. Items were removed from self-service fridge. It was cleaned and corrected on site, and it is now at an ambient temperature of 27 degrees. Subway at 2800 East Battlefield observed several potentially hazardous food items in the vegetable line being held above 41 degrees. Items were voluntarily discarded, and it was seen below 41 prior to the end of inspection. Observed food and contact items, mayo packets, salt, pepper, oregano, cutlery, cups, and bowls stored under both hand sinks. Sushi Village, 1440 West Republic Road, observed crab rangoon filling and cooked rice in walk-in cooler without date marking, education given. Observed raw salmon stored above whole cabbage in the reach-in cooler, education given. Cooked chicken stored in a cardboard box and walk-in cooler, education given. Food was moved to appropriate food-grade container, corrected on site. Thailand Station, 1730 East Republic Road, observed drink mug, cup in food preparation area without a handle or straw. The Coffee Ethic at 124 Park Central Square. Priority violations 1, observed multiple items in cold drawer 8 were above 41 degrees. They corrected it and fixed the temperature. Thermostat was observed to be set to higher, and it is now rechecked at 39 to 40 degrees. Walmart, 3534 West Mount Vernon Street, observed mops stored on floor of mop sink, education provided. Corrected on site. Walmart Supercenter, 2825 North Kansas Expressway, plastic food container stored with a large crack in the bottom, education provided. Cracked food container was voluntarily discarded. Employee cell phone stored on deli counter. Cell phone was moved to a designated zone for employee belongings, and counter was sanitized. Plastic food containers stored stacked, not dry. Containers were removed from the storage shelf to be recleaned and air dried. Whole Hog Cafe, 2731 North Glenstone, observed several potentially hazardous food products found with a temperature above 41 degrees. Food was discarded, and a third party arrived to perform maintenance on unit, and temperature adjustment was made. The interior of the ice machine was also found not clean and corrected on site. Wild Foods by Dillon, 1750 North Boonville Avenue, priority violations 1, observed raw food over ready-to-eat items, shelled eggs over several jams, education given. Willard North Elementary, 407 South Farmer Road, Willard. Priority violations found 1, provolone cheese with use by date of 2/19, sliced bell peppers with use by date of 2/23, and sliced red onions with use by date of 2/17. All items found past the discard date were voluntarily discarded and corrected. Wingin' It LLC observed queso prepared previous day and placed in prep table 2 did not reach 41 degrees within 6 hours, corrected and discarded. Both hand washing sinks have food in the basins. Also observed was daylight along the bottom of the back door that leads to the alley. Zaxby's at 540 West El Camino Road, Alto Drive. Priority violations found, observed coleslaw at 47, sliced cheese at 47, sliced tomatoes at 49, shredded lettuce at 49, blue cheese at 48, hard-boiled eggs at 44 in the line prep cooler, so food was voluntarily discarded. And reinspection will occur. Employee working with raw chicken wearing gloves changed gloves but did not wash hands before working on customer order. Education given, corrected on site. Observed hand washing sink near the battering station and hand washing sink near chicken cooler with non-working paper towel dispensers, fix and maintain in good repair. Observed buildup on floors throughout the kitchen, under fryers and coolers, increased deep cleaning frequency to maintain clean facilities. So there is information when you go out to eat this week.
This is the Springfield Daily Citizen. Answer man, why are so many churches dropping their denomination from the name? There's a picture of High Street Church's sign, and it says highstreet.org. And what happened to the word Baptist in the name? And there's a correction. Wesley United Methodist Church has not left the United Methodist denomination. The original version of this story was an error. The church's sign says Wesley Church, but this sign had the same wording long before there was a schism in the United Methodist denomination. Answer man, I've noticed that several churches have changed their names by dropping their denomination. For an example, Schweitzer United Methodist Church is now Schweitzer Church. High Street Baptist Church is now High Street Church. What's going on? John Monteleone of Springfield. I'll start the answer with the specific churches you mentioned, Jonna, and then provide the big picture reason, which is the national growth of non-denominational churches and decline of those affiliated with a denomination. Pastor Eddie Lyons at High Street Baptist Church, 901 North Eastgate Avenue, has an explanation that surprised me. During COVID, everybody went online and we had to get a YouTube channel, he says. The name High Street Baptist Church was owned by a church in Ohio, and somebody offered to sell it to us for a lot of money. And I'm like, no, we don't want to do that. What was available was High Street Church, so we said, let's do it. We don't have time to dilly-dally. We've got to get this going. So our branding was switched to High Street Church. There's a picture of the High Street Baptist Church building, and it says the name on the church building remains the same. He tells me the church has the full name on the building and is still part of the Southern Baptist Convention. Schweitzer Church has dropped the United Methodist from its name. That's the result of schism in the denomination over several issues, including the ordination of gay clergy and the performance of weddings for gay couples. The United Methodist denomination moved to accept the ordination of gay clergy and the marriage of gay couples. The congregations that did not accept these changes left the denomination and dropped the United Methodists from their names. We've actually had several names over the years in an effort to help people find us more easily. If you Google churches in Springfield, Missouri, as I did, you'll find a host of churches with names like Hill City Church, 2050 East Traffic Way, New Life Church, 776 West Farm Road, 186, Awakening Church of God, 3010 West Nichols Street, Life Church, 1655 West Republic Road, and North Point Church with locations in Springfield, Nixa, and Republic. When you look at their websites, you don't find a denominational affiliation. Instead, you find what's typically called a statement of beliefs. Hill City, for example, lists its basic beliefs regarding Scripture, Trinity, the fall, Jesus Christ, salvation, baptism, and the church. North Point's church's website states the church was launched in 2003 out of a dream to see a church community that engaged people from all walks of life, but on the North Point of Springfield, Missouri. It also says North Point was a church planted by James River Assembly. Coincidentally, James River Assembly is now the non-denominational James River Church, having left the Assemblies of God denomination in 2025. When I called Life Church for this story, the local pastor referred me to Rachel Feuerborn, a spokesperson in Oklahoma, who told me, "It's about having a name that's both easy to remember and represents our belief that whoever finds God finds life," Feuerborn told me via email. We've actually had several names over the years in an effort to help people find us more easily. Before our current name, we were lifechurch.tv, which was reflective of our video teaching, a subset of churches that carry the old name with them when they moved. Andrew Kirshner is the lead minister of Glendale Christian Church at 2110 South Blackman Road. We're non-denominational, and that just means we're not part of any hierarchical structure, he says. We're locally autonomous. We want everybody to know we're just a Church of Christ or a Christian church, he says. So when someone asks, are you a Baptist church? No. Are you a Lutheran church? No. We're just a Christian church. One of our little slogans is, we're Christians only, but not the only Christians. Christian churches, such as Glendale, often take their name from their geographical location, such as the street where they're located. But I pointed out, Glendale Christian Church is not close to Glendale High School. Why the name? Because the congregation was once located next to Glendale High School, Kirshner says. The church moved to its present location on Blackman Road in 2000 and kept its name. The former building next to Glendale High is home to the Experience Church. In fact, there is an entire subset of church names based on where a church once was, rather than where it is today. For example, why is there a High Street Baptist Church when the building is on Eastgate Avenue? It's because the congregation originally met at 1253 North Prospect Avenue at High Street. Dayspring Church is now in that building. Most influential churches in the United States are all non-denominational. The trend toward non-denominational churches is not new in America, says Bob Smetana, a longtime reporter who covers religion at Religion News Service. First of all, Almost all major denominations, except the Assemblies of God, are in decline, he told me via email. That's mostly because older church members are dying off and their kids are less religious, and so aren't joining their parents' churches. And because most denominations have churches in places where people used to live and haven't built new churches in growing areas. Second, Americans switch churches a lot, and so folks are looking for new places to worship, often when they move. Third, he adds, Protestant denominations have splintered, and local churches no longer sing the same songs or use the same Sunday school material or have the same worship style as other churches in their denomination. A denominational label no longer means what it used to mean. The most influential churches in the United States are all non-denominational, and now they have shaped the way new churches are formed, Smetana says. Non-denominational affiliation is second, behind Roman Catholic. The U.S. Religion Census, conducted by the Association of Statisticians of American Religious Bodies, is the most comprehensive study of religious organizations or congregations and their followers in the United States. According to the 2020 U.S. Religion Census, non-denominational Christian churches comprise the second largest body as measured by followers, trailing only the Catholic Church. Since 2010, the number of non-denominational congregations has increased by nearly 9,000 and the number of followers by nearly 9 million. Professor, society has demolished the gatekeepers. Brian Berg is a professor at the John C. Danforth Center at Washington University in St. Louis. He writes the popular Substack newsletter, Graphs About Religion. Berg wrote this on July 23, 2023. There are mountains of more ink that can be spilled over the rise of non-denominational Christianity. I think it's probably the most visible manifestation of how American society, and by extension American religion, has changed so dramatically in the last 2 decades. We used to be a nation of institutions. The government, unions, and religious denominations were held in high regard by the average American. Now American society is largely bottom-up. It's not institutions that run the show, it's individuals. Society has demolished the gatekeepers. Social media allows anyone with an internet connection to build a following in the tens of thousands in mere days. The most recent data say that nearly 13% of all adults in the United States are non-denominational Protestant Christians. There are more non-denominationals in the U.S. today than mainline Protestants. This is Answer Man column number 161.
National pizza chain to close 300 locations by the end of 2027 by Michael Bartiromo. Next star, Papa John's has announced plans to close hundreds of underperforming locations by the end of 2027, with around 200 slated to shutter in 2026 alone. Ravi Thanawala, the CFO and president of Papa John's in North America, revealed the company's plans for select closures during an earnings call last week. The vast majority of our global restaurants have performed well over the years and delivered strong returns for both corporate and franchise owners, Thanawala said. However, we have identified approximately 300 underperforming restaurants across North America that are not meeting brand expectations or lack a clear path to sustainable financial improvement, as well as locations where we can effectively transfer sales to nearby restaurants. Thanawala said the company expects to close around 200 of these locations by the end of this year, with another 100 or so to follow in 2027. A representative for Papa John's could not confirm which specific locations were slated for closure, but Thanawala in his remarks included several hints. These locations are primarily franchise-owned, over a decade old, generate average unit volumes of under $600,000, and mostly operate at negative four-wall EBITDA, he said. EBITDA is an acronym for Earnings Before Interest, Taxes, Depreciation, and Amortization, while four-wall refers to expenses specific to each particular restaurant. These closures are designed to strengthen the health of franchisees and perhaps encourage them to open new restaurants in more priority spaces, according to Thanawala. This is the same strategy we successfully deployed during my tenure managing our international business, he said. Last week, Papa John's reported its fourth quarter revenue to be $498.2 million, or more than $30 million less than the same period in the prior year. CEO Todd Penegor said the drop reflected a weak consumer backdrop and elevated promotional environment. In 2026, we are focused on continuing our transformation work to best position Papa John's to win in a dynamic QSR category, said Pennegar in a statement included with the company's earnings report. Our strong balance sheet is supporting investment in these initiatives, which we believe will deliver high returns. We look forward with confidence in our ability to generate sustainable, profitable growth and value creation. Papa John's operated 3,523 restaurants in North America at the end of 2025, 96 of which opened that year. News of Papa John's upcoming closures will also follow a similar announcement from Pizza Hut, which is closing 250 restaurants by mid-2026.
This is from 417 Magazine, a Q&A with Bookmarks Joshua Arnett about the store's new movie rentals. Bookmarks owner Joshua Arnett is bringing back movie rentals with a new section of the store, Mr. Gregorian's Movie Emporium. It opens this month, by Jordan Blomquist. And there's a picture of Joshua Arnett and two of their cats in front of DVDs and VHS tapes. 417 Magazine. What sparked the decision to open a movie rental business now? Josh Arnett. It's an idea I've had for a couple of years. Part of it is just because now that there are no rental stores, I thought maybe one could exist. There's enough interest in it. People miss it or see some kind of utility in it. And I do think there is a kind of a frustration with streaming. 417, how does this new venture fit alongside Bookmark's identity and mission? Joshua Arnett, it fits together pretty well. My interests have always been in film and literature together. I worked at a movie theater for a decade in high school and college, so I always really liked movies. I just see it more expanding what we can offer downtown and offer Springfield. 417, what's one film you think everyone should rent at least once in their life? Joshua Arnett, the Alexander Payne movie, The Holdovers. 417, how do you hope this space changes how people think about watching movies? Joshua Arnett, part of what I don't like about streaming or the way we look for movies now is that it feels like there's less intentionality to it. It feels like not just watching, but also just thinking about what we're going to watch has become more passive. I want there to be a little bit more, for myself included, thought into what I'm consuming, what I'm engaging with. 417, where did the name Mr. Gregorian's Movie Emporium come from? We wanted a store name that both honored our recently departed cat, Googie, who was elected Captain Springfield in 2023, and also let people know that we are a potentially whimsical video store, so we remixed his name with the title of the mostly unheralded 2000 film, Mr. Gregorian's Wonder Emporium.
I don't want to end on a shooting. Is there like another? I was like, wait. I thought we were going to finish up. You had a longer article. All right. You find one more so it doesn't end on like I don't know, a downer. All right. So, Sheriff's Office 417 Rentals owner still in critical condition after shooting, by Jeff Pickle. 417 Rentals LLC owner Chris Gatley remains in critical condition after a shooting near Republic on Sunday, according to the Greene County Sheriff's Office. Corporal James Cragmile this morning declined to provide more information about the shooting or say which local hospital is treating Gatley. Both Cox Health spokeswoman Caitlin McConnell and Mercy Springfield Community spokeswoman Sonia Coleman said their health system directories do not list Gatley. He is in critical condition, Cragmile said via email. A sheriff's office Facebook post on January 27th indicated Gatley, 48, was transported to the hospital for life-threatening injuries after deputies were dispatched to the 5800 block of West U.S. Highway 60 for a male with a gunshot wound. The post called him the victim in a shooting. Cragmile said a Missouri Sunshine Law records request was required to obtain the sheriff's report on the shooting, but that the information you will get is the same information we provided on social media. Sheriff Jim Arnett told reporters it was unknown if the incident was a suicide attempt, according to KY3. Citing a 911 call, the KY3 report indicates Gatley's girlfriend accidentally shot him in the chest. The incident came 11 days after Gatley and 417 Rentals bankruptcy case was denied by the U.S. Bankruptcy Court of the Western District of Missouri. The ruling followed a motion by the City of Springfield in 2018 to dismiss the case. City officials alleged 417 Rentals did not abide by court claims. It would maintain its properties, complete necessary repairs, and respond to ordinance violations according to court documents. 417 Rentals filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy reorganization in August 2017 in its initial petition last year. 417 Rentals listed 50 to 99 creditors, estimated assets of $1 million to $10 million, and estimated liabilities of $1 million to $10 million according to court records. Since then, myriad homes have been foreclosed on, and banks involved in the case now may move forward with additional foreclosure sales with the dismissal of the bankruptcy petition. In an amended reorganization plan submitted to the court on August 10th, 417 Rentals indicated it had loan balances at a dozen local banks. The combined fair market value of the properties is more than $32 million, Springfield Business Journal previously reported. 417 Rentals has come under fire on social media and in local media reports for various tenant issues, including allegations of overcharging and failure to make repairs, according to SBJ Archives.
This is 417 Magazine. The miniature Highland cows at Perfect Picture Pony. Been searching for the fluffy, photogenic Highland cows everyone's obsessed with. You'll find them at Perfect Picture Pony by Jordan Blomquist. You've never seen more personality in a cow than the miniature Highland crew at Perfect Picture Pony in Stratford, Missouri. The business all started with Christy Stockwell's miniature horse, Whiskey. After she got her LLC, tragedy struck when a neighbor's 3 dogs attacked him, leaving him with a 10% chance of survival. It took months of extensive daily care. I almost quit the business, but I was sitting on my porch one day and I was watching him out in the field and thinking, if he didn't give up, why should I give up, Stockwell says. While Whiskey healed, Stockwell's husband suggested adding miniature cows to the business. Today, her photogenic herd includes Remy, Stella, Steel, Georgia, Maverick, and Goose. And this spring, Whiskey finally made his photo shoot debut. The business quickly expanded beyond Southwest Missouri. Her Booze with Moose events, where guests sip local beer and snap selfies with their cows, now take place in Kansas City and Bentonville, in addition to where the event started at 4x4 Brewing Company in Fremont Hills.
Go ahead. Go ahead and finish your article.
The animals are one of the best parts of Stockwell's day. They're surprisingly social and love to be brushed, petted, and spoiled with treats. They're really just like big dogs, she says. Honestly, they might be better if they don't mess up your house. Each one has a distinct personality, from attention-loving Georgia to Ruby and 8-year-old Angus, who, though double the size, requests the exact same treatment as the miniature Highlands. As she looks ahead to events in Herman and beyond, Stockwell's main goal remains to keep creating joyful, truly original experiences that bring people closer to animals and each other. My goal is to continue to get creative and bring the community more fun and unique events.
Thank you for listening to the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. Tune in every week, Monday through Friday, on the Blind Community Thrift Store's YouTube channel at 10 a.m. for more up-to-date news from the Springfield News-Leader, Springfield Daily Citizen, Springfield Business Journal, and 417 Magazine. Listen after we are live on the Audio Reader Network at www.reader.ku.edu. All broadcasts are played over KSMU's subcarrier airwaves at 67 kilohertz on 91.1 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Contact Audio Reader Network for information on receiving a pre-programmed radio. Success. Here you go, so you can write things down. I'm so hungry.
That's what I remember more. I get back in the swing of writing stuff down again. Oh my goodness. Oh. Man, I was rushing around trying to find pants. I was like, I knew I pulled a pair of pants yesterday.
Yeah.
I could not find them anywhere, so I've got like clothes all scattered all over.
Isn't that like the worst? You're like, I know it was right here. I saw it. I saw it.
Yeah.
It exists. I know it does. It just messes with your whole sense of reality.
Yeah. And it's like my cat, she's like basking in the sun on my pillow. It's like, you better have eaten that little bit of